On today's episode of 5 Games, we're not going to look at 5 games. Instead, I'm dusting off some old and new gaming accessories that I happen to find pretty great. The NES Advantage is an arcade-style joystick controller released by Nintendo in 1987. Now, I really enjoy 8-bit shmups, but I'll be the first to admit I'm not very good at them. And if I forget to admit it, someone else is sure to remind me. Perhaps this is why I like the NES Advantage so much. It seems a majority of the 8-bit shmup library didn't incorporate any sort of autofire into their games. While the lack of autofire works in an arcade setting with nice big buttons, repeatedly mashing the NES action buttons gets tiresome rather quickly. The NES Advantage not only has a selectable turbo feature for each button, but also has a dial so you can fine-tune the speed of the turbo. For me, this makes many classic NES shmups a million times better. The joystick ain't half bad either, but is a far cry from a nice arcade stick with micro switches. Still, the feel is better than many arcade-style sticks from this era, and feels very accurate. In the end though, it's all about those turbo buttons, and any accessory increasing my enjoyment of a game gets my recommendation. The 5-way system selector from Pelican Accessories is a 5-way composite and S-video switcher. I've used this for different reasons over the past 13 or 14 years. At first, it was a way to hook 5 systems into my TV, which just had an RF input. Back in 2010, it was part of my recording setup, feeding RF into my monitor and outputting the composite signal into an old capture device. These days, I use it yet again as a video selector, taking advantage of the S-video inputs for things like the Philips CDI, Panasonic 3DO, and Nintendo 64. The device itself is simple and works as intended. The styling cues are a clear nod to the PlayStation 2, which I hated at the time, but now find rather charming. Another cool feature are these little tabs. I don't remember how many came with the device, but I have a handful left. These can be clipped into slots above the buttons, allowing you a clean way to label each selection. It's a nice little touch and really put this over the top when it was new. I'm sure the use case for an old S-video switcher is rather small these days, but I find the cool styling and the tabs with old console names on them rather neat. During the 1999 launch, the Dreamcast had a VGA box available, allowing you to hook the system directly up to a VGA monitor. This allowed for a crystal clear, progressive picture long before HD TVs were available to the masses. My current VGA box is the Toro from the Turkish company BBS. Unlike many cheap VGA boxes you find on eBay or Amazon, the Toro is of exceptional quality and packed with features. There are 2 different video output options, VGA and SCART, along with separate RCA audio jacks if needed. There are also switches to disable the VGA mode, a brightness adjuster, and even scan lines. It's quite the little box, and for me, worth every penny. But not only does it work well, it's very cool looking. The top is a transparent piece of blue acrylic with an etched Toro logo. The open-air design even allows you to see all of the components and circuit board lurking within. It's a great example of how modern technology has allowed folks to create brand new accessories for older systems. The Toro may be overkill for some, but I highly recommend it. Another example of a brand new device for retro systems made by a small company is the PowerBase Mini FM. This device is like the PowerBase converter, only much more compact. It crams the entire PowerBase converter along with the Japanese exclusive FM sound unit inside an old Genesis cartridge shell, allowing you to play Master System games on both the Model 1 or Model 2 Genesis. The front label is glossy and professional, and the build quality seems extremely high. It also has a coat of burgundy paint, though the paint job doesn't quite match the craftsmanship of the rest of the device. My paint is slightly uneven, but it's hard to tell unless you're looking for it. The front of the PowerBase Mini FM features a raised pause button, which has a satisfying click. If you find you don't like the FM soundtrack or effects of a particular Master System game, you can hold the pause button down while the system is booting up and bypass the FM. The creators really thought of everything. As of this video, the device is currently out of stock, but if they ever return, you should definitely pick one up. Last but not least is the VideoMatic. I see these in the wild now and again, but they are usually missing all of the accessories that came with it, so let's dive in. At first glance, this appears to be a normal CD storage drawer. It works well enough, holding a fair amount of jewel cases securely, while letting you rifle through them to find the game you want. However, the front of the drawer has some interesting features. First, it came with a CD wallet. This was handy for demo discs, and is where I have hid the awful Spirit of Speed for the Dreamcast for over a decade. The other side of the drawer has notches for storing PlayStation memory cards. However, the VideoMatic is just getting started. There are inserts available that fit snugly into each half. These are specially molded to hold Sega Genesis cartridges, Super Nintendo cartridges, and even Nintendo 64 games. But that's not all. The front of these insert trays also feature grooves to snugly secure Nintendo 64 memory cards. However, there is yet another optional tray. This tray has special grooves to secure a Nintendo 64 controller, or PlayStation controller if you swing that way. Back in 1998 or 1999, when my collection was significantly smaller, all of these little features were quite useful and kept my modest collection organized. These days, I just use it to store SNES carts. Still, I wanted to show off all the little gadgets it originally came with, because it seems the CD wallet and controller tray are usually missing. When I was a kid, I thought the VideoMatic was just about the coolest thing ever. So there you have it, 5 great retro gaming accessories from the late 80s and 90s to the present. Now this is not a definitive list, nor is it intended to be a best of, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of quirky and obscure retro gaming accessories, so be sure to leave a comment and share some of your favorites.